Once upon a time, in the quaint village history unfolded. A woman, seemingly from another era, lay unconscious in the cobbled streets. But not just any Delphine. This woman claimed to hail not from the year 1955, but from the distant future, 2025. A temporal anomaly, a traveler from the decades yet to come, or simply a delusion. Her sudden appearance sparked a chain of events that would test the boundaries of reality itself, forever entwining the lives of a humble baker, a seasoned doctor, and a meticulous inspector, in a tale of impossible journeys through time and space. Jean-Baptiste Moreau, a baker known for his unwavering routine and sharp memory, was the first to discover Delphine. His daily ritual of opening his family's bakery before dawn was interrupted by this unexpected sight. Initially mistaking her for a drunkard, his careful observation revealed something far more profound. This was no ordinary incident. The woman's attire, a shimmering, unfamiliar jacket, oddly cut trousers, and unprecedented footwear, immediately hinted at an extraordinary origin, far beyond the limitations of 1955. Dr. Henry Beaumont, the village physician, a man weathered by years of medical experience gained during the First World War, arrived promptly. Even he, accustomed to a wide array of injuries, was baffled by Delphine's condition. The severe trauma, seemingly from a high-speed vehicle collision, lacked any supporting evidence. No shattered glass, no skid marks, no wreckage. Just an inexplicably injured woman lying hundreds of yards from the nearest road. The mystery deepened. Further examination unveiled even stranger details. While severely injured, Delphine's teeth were remarkably well maintained, a rarity in 1955. Her skin, though bruised, suggested advanced cosmetic care. Most striking were the subtle scars, signs of incredibly precise surgical procedures, light years ahead of available medical technology. These details, coupled with the inexplicable lack of accident evidence, pointed to something far beyond a simple road accident. In Aix-en-Provence in 1955, a world painted in the soft hues of a misty dawn. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and the promise of a sun yet to fully break through. Picture the sleepy villages, their medieval stone houses clinging to the hillsides, their inhabitants waking slowly to the rhythms of a bygone era. The fields of lavender, still slumbering under the winter's chill, are yet to burst into their vibrant purple glory. This is the backdrop to our story, a world of simpler times, of winding cobblestone streets, and the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. The rhythm of life in Provence, 1955, was slow and deliberate. The day began with the familiar sounds of church bells, the clatter of wooden shutters opening, and the rhythmic tapping of a blacksmith's hammer. Jean-Baptiste, our baker, embodied this rhythm. His life revolved around the familiar routine of his craft. The precise measurement of flour, the careful kneading of dough, the satisfying thud of loaves entering the oven. A man of routine, his days were as predictable as the rising of the sun. News traveled slowly in those days, carried on the whispers of the wind and the exchanges between neighbors. Transportation was limited, and communication relied on face-to-face interactions or the infrequent delivery of letters. The pace of life was dictated by the changing seasons, the rhythms of nature, and the close-knit bonds of community. Life moved at a slower pace, punctuated by the simple joys and sorrows of everyday existence. The arrival of Delphine, a woman seemingly out of time, disrupted this serene equilibrium. The morning of March 11th began as any other in Aix-en-Provence, yet it would forever be etched in the annals of local history. The events that followed would weave a tale of confusion, astonishment, and a mystery that continues to resonate across the decades, a testament to the enigma of Delphine and the very nature of time itself. The simple, unassuming nature of that day serves to highlight the profound disruption caused by her sudden arrival. The early morning mist clung to the cobblestone streets of Aix-en-Provence, obscuring the details of the day just beginning. Jean-Baptiste Moreau, our baker, was already at work, his familiar routine a comforting counterpoint to the chill in the air. He swept the entrance to his bakery, his movements precise and methodical, a testament to years of practiced habit. It was a typical morning, or so it seemed, until his eyes landed on an unusual sight at the end of the street. Near the central fountain, a figure lay motionless on the pavement. At first glance, Jean-Baptiste assumed it was a vagrant, perhaps someone who had overindulged the night before, a not uncommon sight in French villages. But as he approached, the reality of the situation struck him with a chilling clarity. This was no drunken sleeper. This was someone seriously injured. The woman was middle-aged, her breathing labored, and blood stained the stones around her. But it wasn't just the injuries that caused Jean-Baptiste to pause. It was her clothing. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. A jacket of shiny, unfamiliar synthetic material, trousers of a strange cut, and shoes of a completely foreign design. This was no ordinary occurrence. This was an enigma wrapped in a morning mist. A wave of shock washed over Jean-Baptiste. He muttered, "Mon Dieu," under his breath, the simple exclamation a testament to the profound strangeness of the situation. His sharp mind, usually so attuned to the predictable rhythm of his daily life, was overwhelmed by the unexpected. This was no ordinary incident. This was an anomaly, a disruption of the established order. His calm morning had suddenly become extraordinary, and his next action would set off a chain reaction that would shake the quiet village to its core. The severity of Delphine's injuries suggested a high-speed collision, perhaps a car accident. Dr. Beaumont, a veteran of the First World War and a man accustomed to the grim realities of trauma, immediately recognized the pattern of her wounds. A contusion on the left side of her head, multiple abrasions on her right arm, and what appeared to be a fractured left wrist. All pointed to a violent impact, but something felt profoundly wrong. I surveyed the scene meticulously, searching for any trace of a vehicle collision. But there was nothing, no shattered glass, no skid marks, not even tire tracks. The nearest major road was more than 200 meters away. How could a woman have sustained such significant injuries in the heart of the village with no discernible cause? The lack of evidence was as unsettling as the injuries themselves. The absence of any trace of a vehicle was deeply perplexing. It suggested a scenario far beyond a straightforward accident. Dr. Beaumont's years of experience told him that something was profoundly wrong. The injuries themselves were real, undeniable, yet their origin remained shrouded in an unsettling mystery. The lack of evidence hinted at an explanation far more extraordinary than any simple accident could offer. As they waited for the ambulance, the growing unease among the small group of villagers was palpable. The quiet morning had been irrevocably shattered. The serene atmosphere of the village was replaced by a thick cloud of suspicion and bewilderment. The mystery surrounding Delphine's arrival was a chilling disruption of their predictable lives, a stark reminder that not everything in the world could be easily explained. At the Hospital General de Aix-en-Provence, Delphine was rushed, to the emergency room, her unconscious form a stark contrast to the bustling activity around her. Dr. Marcel Rousseau, the head of internal medicine, a man who had witnessed countless strange cases in his 25 years of practice, was immediately struck by the unusual nature of this patient. The initial medical examination revealed a series of unsettling contradictions. Beyond the obvious injuries consistent with a high-speed impact, Delphine exhibited signs of having received remarkably advanced medical care in the past. Small, precise surgical scars dotted her body, the work of techniques decades ahead of anything available in 1955. This was not the work of a village doctor. This hinted at medical technology from a far more advanced era. Nurse Marie Dubois, her keen eyes missing nothing, made a crucial observation. Pointing to Delphine's mouth, she exclaimed, "Look at this, Marcel. Her dental fillings are made of a material I've never seen before, and her teeth are perfectly aligned, like she's had some kind of advanced orthodontic treatment." Dr. Rousseau confirmed her findings. The fillings were unlike anything he'd encountered in his extensive career, a stark white material that blended seamlessly with her natural teeth, far beyond the gold and silver fillings commonplace in 1955. The incongruities continued to mount. These weren't just minor discrepancies. They were profound contradictions pointing to a history far more complex than initially assumed. Delphine's exceptionally rapid recovery from her injuries further deepened the mystery. Defying the normal healing processes expected, given the nature of her trauma, her body seemed to heal at an accelerated rate, responding remarkably well to the basic treatments available at the time. The medical enigma of Delphine had officially begun, with Delphine still unidentified and unconscious. The responsibility of finding her identity fell to Inspector Antoine Mohot, a seasoned police officer with a reputation for thoroughness. Mohot embarked on what would become the most challenging investigation of his career. His search began with the obvious missing person report. He checked every report within a radius of 200 kilometers, contacting neighboring towns and cities, and even placing descriptions in local newspapers. His efforts, however, proved futile. No missing person reports matched Delphine's description. No recent car accidents in the region had been reported. The mystery deepened. Days turned into weeks, and the quiet village of Aix-en-Provence held its breath, captivated by the enigmatic stranger who had materialized from thin air, bearing the marks of a violent accident that never happened. The lack of identification was particularly troubling. Delphine carried no identification papers, no jewelry with engravings, and nothing to suggest her identity or background. Her clothing, however, presented the most significant enigma. The local textile experts were unable to identify the materials used in her jacket and shoes. The jacket appeared to be made from a shiny synthetic polymer that didn't exist in 1955, and the soles of her shoes were crafted from a material resembling rubber, but possessing unique and unfamiliar properties. Inspector Mohot carefully preserved Delphine's belongings as evidence, hoping that upon her awakening, she might shed some light on her origins and the circumstances of her mysterious appearance. The mystery of Delphine's identity became intertwined with the even greater mystery of her inexplicable arrival in the village. The impossible combination of the injuries and the absence of any accident created a puzzle that seemed unsolvable, a challenge for the experienced inspector. El momento en que Delphine despertó fue como un rayo en una tormenta oscura. Sus ojos se abrieron lentamente, revelando un mundo que no reconocía. La luz del hospital era intensa, casi cegadora, y el sonido de máquinas pitando y el murmullo de voces le eran ajenos. Se sentía desorientada, como si hubiera viajado a través de un túnel de tiempo y espacio, aterrizando en un lugar que no era su hogar. ¿Dónde estaba? ¿Qué había pasado? La confusión la envolvía como una manta pesada, y su mente trataba de procesar la realidad que la rodeaba. La última imagen que recordaba era la de un coche acercándose a toda velocidad, y luego, un vacío. ¿Era un sueño o una pesadilla? La respuesta estaba a punto de revelarse. Cuando la enfermera Marie se acercó a ella, Delphine sintió una mezcla de alivio y desconfianza. La enfermera le habló suavemente, tratando de calmarla, pero las palabras no parecían tener sentido. «Estás en el Hospital General de Aix-en-Provence», le dijo Marie, con una voz tranquilizadora. Con una voz tranquilizadora. Su mente seguía atrapada en el caos de recuerdos fragmentados. Intentó recordar su vida, su hogar, su familia, pero todo se sentía borroso y distante. ¿Recuerda lo que te pasó?, preguntó Marie, y Delphine sintió que el peso de la realidad comenzaba a aplastarla. No podía recordar, no podía entender cómo había llegado allí. A medida que los días pasaban, la confusión de Delphine se transformó en desesperación. La enfermera y el doctor Rousseau intentaron ayudarla, pero sus intentos de explicar su situación eran recibidos con miradas de incredulidad. «Soy del futuro», repetía Delphine, pero sus palabras parecían caer en oídos sordos. La realidad de 1955 era un mundo extraño y desconcertante para ella, lleno de costumbres y tecnologías que no comprendía. Recordaba un hogar moderno, un teléfono móvil en su bolsillo y la vida que había dejado atrás. Pero aquí, todo era diferente y la sensación de pérdida la envolvía. ¿Por qué nadie la creía? ¿Por qué no podían ver la verdad en sus ojos? Finalmente, el día que había estado esperando llegó. Delphine despertó un día con una claridad renovada. Había decidido que no se rendiría. Comenzó a hablar con más confianza sobre su vida en el futuro, describiendo tecnologías que sonaban a locura para los presentes, pero que ella sabía eran reales. La enfermera Marie la escuchaba con atención, y poco a poco, algunos en el hospital comenzaron a cuestionar si había algo más en su historia. ¿Podría ser posible que Delphine realmente viniera de otro tiempo? Sus descripciones de dispositivos, que parecían sacados de una novela de ciencia ficción, comenzaron a generar murmullos entre el personal médico. La idea de que alguien pudiera haber viajado en el tiempo era absurda, pero ¿y si había algo más? La curiosidad comenzó a despertar en los corazones de aquellos que la rodeaban. 11 days after being found, Delphine opened her eyes. The year was 1955, but her words painted a picture of a world utterly alien to those around her. She spoke of a reality that defied their understanding of time and technology, a reality she called 2025. Her first words, however, were not an explanation, but a confused question. Where am I? Nurse Mary, initially hopeful for a coherent explanation, was met with profound disorientation. Delphine's confusion was absolute, her gaze fixated on the simple, yet primitive medical equipment, her bewilderment growing with each passing moment. She asked about monitors, digital machines, questioning the age of everything she saw. It was clear this woman was deeply, inexplicably lost. Dr. Rousseau and Inspector Mohat arrived, their expressions equally mixed with anticipation and apprehension. They posed their questions carefully, but Delphine's responses only deepened the enigma. Her casual mention of a modern apartment, a building that didn't exist in that location, further solidified the impossibility of her claims. When asked her date of birth, she calmly responded, 22nd of January, 1967. The room fell silent, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy in the air. The year 1955 was a reality Delphine vehemently denied. She insisted she was from 2025, a world of advanced technology and unimaginable changes. A world that, to them, sounded like science fiction. The gap between her claims and the reality before them was a chasm of disbelief, an insurmountable divide that sparked the true beginning of this perplexing investigation. Inspector Antoine Mohot, initially skeptical, found himself strangely compelled by Delphine's unwavering conviction. Despite the absurdity of her claims, something in her genuine desperation resonated with him. He decided to conduct the most exhaustive investigation of his career, driven by a profound sense of duty and an unsettling curiosity. His investigation wasn't just about finding a missing person. It was about unraveling a mystery that challenged the very fabric of reality. It began with the most basic details. Her name, Delphine Lorraine, she'd said, born to parents named Michel Lorraine and Isabelle Fontanelle on the 22nd of January, 1967. He contacted civil registries across France, systematically searching for any record of these individuals. His efforts, however, were met with silence. There was no record of a Michel Lorraine married to an Isabelle Fontanelle, nor any record of a daughter named Delphine born on that date. This lack of any official record added another layer to the enigma. Next, he investigated the address she had given, 47 Rue des Jardins, a modern apartment building overlooking the Central Park. This was impossible. 47 Rue des Jardins housed the Beaumont family's tailoring shop, a business that had been in operation for 3 decades. There were no apartments there, yet Delphine's description was specific and detailed. This discrepancy only reinforced the growing sense of unease and mystery. Mohot's investigation extended beyond Delphine's personal details. He began to meticulously verify the events she described from her purported future. He contacted experts across various fields, academics, political scientists, and technology specialists. Their responses were initially skeptical, yet some of Delphine's predictions, while extraordinary, were remarkably insightful. The impossibility of her claims was starting to be overshadowed by the eerie accuracy of her seemingly impossible knowledge of future events. The deeper he dug, the more perplexing the case became. Delphine's story was no longer just a strange tale. It was a puzzle that demanded explanation, a mystery that wouldn't let go. Despite Inspector Mohot's tireless efforts, Delphine's claims remained stubbornly inexplicable. Her insistence on her 2025 origin, coupled with the increasingly frustrating lack of evidence supporting her story, left the authorities at an impasse. The medical and police investigations had hit a wall. The only path forward seemed to be a thorough psychiatric evaluation, a path that neither the inspector nor some members of the medical team were entirely comfortable with. Dr. Rousseau, while initially intrigued by the scientific possibilities of Delphine's story, felt a growing unease. The lack of concrete evidence, coupled with the increasingly fantastical nature of her claims, led him to seek a second opinion. He decided to consult with Dr. Albert Morin, the region's leading psychiatrist, a man renowned for his expertise in complex memory disorders and delusions. Dr. Morin spent 3 days evaluating Delphine, conducting extensive and intense sessions. He explored every aspect of her extraordinary claims. His assessment was thorough. His final report was presented to the medical team, a diagnosis of systematized temporal delusion. Delphine, he concluded, had constructed an elaborate, intricate alternative reality. It was a detailed and internally consistent reality, but one fundamentally incompatible with the current world. While Dr. Morin ruled out conscious deception, Delphine genuinely believed her story. The diagnosis sealed Delphine's fate. Despite the lingering doubts of Inspector Mohot and some medical staff, the limitations of 1955 medicine meant Delphine's extraordinary case could not be treated in a regular hospital. On the 5th of April, 1955, Delphine was transferred to the St. Paul Psychiatric Hospital in Aix-en-Provence. The weight of the diagnosis and the stark reality of her confinement hung heavy in the air, a tragic end to a mysterious beginning. Delphine's death in 1961 marked not an end, but a transformation. Her story, initially dismissed as delusion, began to take on a life of its own. Within the small community of Aix-en-Provence, whispers of woman from the future circulated, transforming into a local legend. The details shifted and morphed with each retelling, yet the core narrative remained stubbornly intact. A woman claiming to be from the future had appeared, lived, and died without a trace of her true origin. As decades passed, and Delphine's predictions about future technologies and world events began to materialize, her story attracted more attention. The landing on the moon, the rise of personal computers and the internet, the disintegration of the Soviet Union, events she described with remarkable detail, transformed her from a dismissed psychiatric case into a figure of fascination and intense debate. Her seemingly prophetic insights cast a long shadow over Aix-en-Provence, her legacy evolving from whispers to a full-fledged enigma. Inspector Mohot, long retired, kept meticulous records of Delphine's case, adding notes each time one of her predictions came true. His files, a testament to an impossible accuracy, challenge any rational explanation. Sadly, his records were later lost, considered insignificant by his family after his passing. However, fragments survived, leading to new questions rather than answers. The enigma of Delphine became an open wound in time. The year 2025 arrived, bringing renewed interest in Delphine's case. Researchers from around the globe converged on Aix-en-Provence, seeking answers in the absence of clear evidence. The date of Delphine's alleged accident, March 11th, was closely monitored. Nothing happened. No time traveler materialized. No temporal anomaly was detected. Yet, the questions persist, and Delphine's legacy remains a profound mystery that challenges our understanding of time, reality, and the limits of human experience.